How's it going, crypto community? This is Jade, the XRP Martian, and you are tuning into something straight from the World Economic Forum. This is as straight from the horse's mouth as you can get, and it's something that's been staring us in the face since the 12th of March. Now, no one that I can recall pulled this article up back in March, so I want to break down the video that's in this article more than anything. Now, the article covers how the internet right now globally is fragmented, as in there's technically a different internet in Moscow than there is in the EU, than there is in the United States, than there is in China, right? Well, now, the idea is behind a lot of this that we're going to be listening to is unifying that system under it with the intention of helping to eliminate the tax loopholes that massive companies such as Facebook, Amazon, Google take advantage of. And we're going to cover a few things about how this all involves digital assets, and it's actually laid out here. They're just not blatant about what they're actually talking about. But anybody that's actually followed blockchain will understand when you hear me, or when you hear this gentleman speak, or me reading off what's being said on the screen in this video clip, you're gonna be like, oh, yeah, that is familiar, isn't it? I wonder what's going on there. We'll talk about that. So, without further ado, let's jump straight into this video. 20 years ago, the digital economy didn't even exist. Today, it's worth $3 trillion. The sector is the cornerstone of the global economy, but taxing it is a nightmare. So, ingrained in every aspect of our lives, no one can really tell. At any rate, the OECD is now introducing a global tax 2020.
All the countries, the governments of the world, to agree on what are the fundamentals, what are the definitions, what is the common treatment that has to be addressed to the different companies that are in this increasingly digitalized world. So where do you tax? How much do you tax? Do you clearly identify the profits, or are you going to the sources? Are you going effectively to imputed values? All these things are now in discussion today. We have not yet found a common ground to tax digital, and at the same time everybody feels the political imperative to tax digital.
Well, so what exactly is the problem? The problem is that, as they will break down this without the gentleman speaking, and I'm not going to try and read it off the screen. Instead, what the problem is that, as I said at the beginning, large multinationals such as Google and Amazon are avoiding taxation by overcomplicating their business models and making the system basically run for them, so in a way that they don't have to fork up any of their profits, right? So how do you determine, then, is the ultimate question, how do you determine where a good is from? Where do you determine who owes that money? Now, the OECD proposed that they perhaps harmonize all the tax rules across all countries, but a lot of countries are like, nah. Why? Because it's actually, well, I'll let the Prime Minister, or I think the Prime Minister of Ireland explain that. Oh, wait, not yet. A little bit early on that, but let's listen to this gentleman.
One of the biggest problems that we have in establishing the taxation on digital is that everybody has a different idea of what the business models are. And in fact, the problem lies precisely there. There isn't any single business model. And the problem is that the traditional solutions that we found, like the arm's length principle and what do the other companies do, etc., is not applicable because there are no other companies like Facebook. There's no other companies like Google. There are no other companies like Amazon. They kind of stand on their own. And, the traditional things like competition, the traditional things like concentration, all fail when you apply them to the situation today. So we really need to find new approaches, and those new approaches we can only find by close consultation with the companies themselves.
So, there you go. As it says on your screen before you right now, data is an intangible asset that moves freely across geographic borders. And because of this, it's really hard to peg the value to charge these companies who are capitalizing, monetarily speaking, financially speaking, on these transactions or on this data, right? And so how do we solve this? Oh, we'll let the video play out and we'll talk. I'm still waiting though. The video hasn't said to us how they solve this yet, right? They're just pointing out the problems. They're not telling you the solution. They point out here, it's difficult to know which country is owed tax on a digital transaction. I'm in America. I make a purchase on Amazon for a product that's currently stored in China. Who gets the money, China or the United States? Because not both. It falls under somebody's tax jurisdiction, but because of the way these large corporations work, it skirts it. Most of the time you don't have to even worry about. That's why you get tax-free a lot of time on some of your packages, right? Because of that, specifically because of that. And here's where we get a message from.
We believe that countries and their ability to set their tax rate is a very, very important part of their national sovereignty. And we believe, in particular, if you are a small country, we believe that competitiveness is not just an opportunity for bigger countries, that smaller countries can play a role in looking at how they can be competitive too. And tax and competitive taxation is an element of that.
So, meanwhile, the OECD is forging ahead and is hoping to see concrete steps taken over the next 2 years in regards to this harmonization, right? Now, obviously, this is the best part of this video, but before, this is the very end. So let's be clear. They told us all the problems, but they didn't tell us how they're going to solve tracking this stuff. But anybody that's actually spent any time in blockchain, studying what blockchains are meant to be, what they achieve, what they can allow for people to do as far as tracking the development and production and shipment and delivery, final destination of goods, right? Through blockchains, it's a tagging system. So yeah, that's what it's going to be used for, and that's what this is what they're going to use to solve exactly this issue, is blockchain. And so here's the best part of this. Everything, for the most part, has already been fleshed out. Because listen again to what this individual representing the World Economic Forum is about to tell you.
2019 is going to be crucial. All the elements for the final formula, for the successful formula, are going to be put in place in 2019, and we are on schedule to producing a 2020 roadmap, and where the beginning of the implementation could happen.
So there you go. From the World Economic Forum. 2019, everything is being hammered out so that 2020 implementation begins. And I just hope that everybody's eggs are in baskets that actually have solid foundations built upon your own research, not just mine. I'm Jade Martian, the XRP Martian. So, despite my beliefs that XRP is underneath all of this, due to Ripple Labs and R3's intimate relations with some of the largest financial institutions and banks, specifically, in the world. And so it is due to this that I personally believe that when this all begins to roll out, whenever that begins, should it be in 2019, like some people believe, this speculative bull run has already begun in many regards. If you look at Bitcoin's price right now, right, the market's green. So from a speculator point of view, the bull run's already here. But the real gains are still about 6 months to a year out, as you heard right here. But that's no reason to get fearful. That's the reason to get greedy. That's just my opinion, based upon the fact that I know how much value is potential to come into this ecosystem when private participants who are offering services to help the traditional regulatory industry or committees regulate big companies like Google and Amazon by tracking their goods through blockchain tracking, through blockchain smart contracts and tracking dApps. That's what VeChain essentially is for, right? As anybody that's in VeChain knows, that's what VET's doing. There's not a lot of value in that, monetarily speaking, compared to the value that's going to come in from the financial institutions. But when that value comes in, that value is then going to disperse into the rest of the network too. So it's not just going to be going one place. It's all these ecosystems are going to, the real ecosystems, the true, well-established, well-adopted digital ecosystems, they're going to flourish, and they're going to flourish phenomenally over the next decade. This is not some short little bull run that you are now partaking in. You are at the beginning, the very beginning of what's about to become the crypto bull run. This will be the one that goes down in the history books as the golden bull of crypto. And this is where many people are going to walk away forging dynasties for their descendants for generations, legitimately. If the only way that doesn't play out, that things don't play out that way, is if we, after this occurs, move towards a social, an equally financed society, right? Where we create a more of a tunnel that people can earn within, as opposed to limitless up or down, right? Who knows? Maybe that's unachievable, but now that we're moving towards global finance, I don't see why we can't just do that and curtail corruption while also curtailing suffering. I mean, it seems pretty phenomenal to me, because once you hit the maximum point of what you can earn based upon the system of the underlying protocol economic system, well, what point's there to be greedy then? Now you're just out there to try and help other people figure out how to get to as high of a point in life as you. It's no longer about just me. It's about everybody else who's not where you are yet, right? That's why I believe in that kind of system. But we've gone on a total tangent, and I just wanted to burn time, I'm not going to lie. I hope you all enjoyed my tangent here, since I already believe I did my wrap-up. But since I have not yet said it, please, if you're new, be sure to hit that subscribe and ring that bell, especially since you're still listening after that crazy rant I just went on. You must enjoy my stuff, right? So thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to hit that like on your way out, and I can't wait to see you all in my next video on Mars.